Welcome to One Take Weekly, the all-new and improved One Take Weekly, where we talk about the latest movie and TV happenings of the week. I'm Gil, the voice of One Take, and I'm here with my brother, Daniel.
Wait, how is this improved? Are you getting rid of me?
No, I think we've been going at it now for a few weeks. I think we've gotten better.
Okay.
So I think it's improved in general.
So you're not getting rid of me.
No,
Okay.
not yet. I'm holding a vote of no confidence later today. Cheekster, Omar, MJ, I need all the numbers I can get. We have a fun show today, Daniel. We're going to talk about Spider-Man, Terrifier 3, the MCU, maybe a little Black Mirror. Also, I have a game lined up toward the end of the stream. So, and you didn't know about that. That's a surprise.
No, I'm excited.
So
and I have some Daniel's bets. We're going to do a segment later. Got a lot of fun facts.
Okay, Daniel's Bits is making its return. I'm going to turn the music on for that, but I need
You'll
someone
remember to turn it off
remind
after.
me to turn it off. Josh Zilla, the king of the monsters. Can't wait for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse.
We're seeing it tonight.
No, we're not. We're seeing Across the Spider-Verse tonight. He's a year ahead of you. He's looking forward to part 3.
Wait, did Across the Spider-Verse come out yet?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like coming out like last night and we're seeing it right away.
Yeah, it came out last night.
Oh, okay, cool. Like we're seeing it like close to it coming out.
Yeah, they used to do midnight screenings. And then they would call it a midnight screening, but you look and I'm like, well, it starts at 10 o'clock. That's not, I mean, last time I checked, 10 is not midnight. And now they've kind of dropped the whole midnight screening concept altogether. And they'll say it comes out Friday, but it really comes out Thursday.
Okay. By the way, my coffee problems are solved. Ellen's making more coffee, it seems like.
Okay,
I'm
awesome.
very happy.
Good. Daniel was very concerned that I didn't brew enough coffee. I brewed the amount I always do. I didn't change anything, but all of a sudden it's not enough. You can't please this guy. On Across the Spider-Verse, by the way, I think there's a chance we'll do a live stream tonight after we see it. If not tonight, then sometime this weekend, perhaps. But we are seeing it tonight.
I like the after hours One Take live streams. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, like Succession the other night.
Yeah.
Which was great. There was one guy in the chat who kept spamming over and over, there's only 30 people watching. I didn't want to be the one to tell him. That's double what we normally get.
Yeah, I was happy with that.
Spider-Man. Hold on, wait, I have to get a good intro for the clip. So Spider-Man, Daniel. Hold on, here we go, ready?
Wait, can I try it?
Sure.
Spider-Man. Wait, Spider-Man.
All right, here, I got this, ready? Ever since Spider-Man No Way Home, there's been a big question mark on how Sony is going to follow up that movie. Where do you go with the Spider-Man franchise from there? There's also a lot of confusion over Sony's little corner of the Spider-Man universe, which they're now calling the SSU, Sony's Spider-Man universe. A lot of confusion because if you look at the Morbius trailer, the original trailer that came out, there were references to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, references to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and references to Tobey Maguire's. So it's like, which universe is this in? And then most of those references were stripped out of the movie once it was released. There's even spoilers for Morbius. There's even an after credit scene where Vulture shows up and he's like, you know about this guy, Spider-Man? And on digital release, they got rid of the line about Spider-Man, but Vulture is still there. So anyway,
the same Vulture from Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Okay.
Basically, the spell that brought all those people to Tom Holland's universe, for some reason, also just took Vulture and sent him to Venom's universe. But there is a question of what is Venom's universe? Is it also Andrew Garfield's universe? It might be.
And then if it's not the same universe, is it in the same multiverse? Right?
Well,
or is that not a question?
It would appear to be confirmed it's in the same multiverse.
Okay.
Because we've seen Venom visit Tom Holland's universe. And now we've seen Toomes, Vulture, go to Venom's universe.
When did we see Venom visit Tom Holland's universe?
It was relegated only to after credit sequences.
Oh, was that after credits in No Way Home?
Yeah. There was an after credits in Let There Be Carnage, Venom 2. At the end of that, Tom Holland, or Tom Hardy, Venom, he gets pulled into Tom Holland's universe. And then in the after credits of No Way Home, he gets sent back.
See, that's kind of funny because I think of like Sony as like the younger brother to like the MCU, right? And it's like the Sony wants to be a part of it. So it made sense to me that they would try to put in all these references that make them a part of it. But I'm surprised that like No Way Home, like the big boy MCU, would give like a shout out to Sony.
But I think it's hard to ignore.
Oh,
that
they took the Sony Spider-Man. I mean, Tobey Maguire was Sony.
Right. No, but
Yeah.
in the current iteration of Sony,
Yeah.
it's Venom, right? It's Venom and it's Morbius. It's hard to ignore the fact that yes, they allowed Venom in the MCU movie, but only in the post credits.
Yeah.
It does feel like Amy Pascal, the producer of these movies, she's like, "Come on, Kevin, let us put our people in your movie." And he's like, "Fine, only in the after credits though."
But I guess wait, was Andrew Garfield Sony also?
Yeah, I mean they're all Sony. Tom Holland is Sony.
Wait, really?
Well, Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man on film.
They still do? I thought with the whole MCU stuff, I thought by that point they got the rights back. That's crazy. So to make these MCU movies, they're still like licensing Spider-Man back from Sony.
Exactly. Yeah, so rewind. Basically, years ago, Marvel licensed all their characters out to different film studios. Then eventually they bought as much back as they could and created their own studio. But Sony wanted to keep holding on to Spider-Man. It was a huge moneymaker. After Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think Sony threw in the towel. They're like, clearly we don't know what we're doing. We're screwing this up. So they struck a deal with Marvel. We're going to hold on to the rights to Spider-Man movies, but we'll share them. So you can put them in the MCU.
So, I mean, do they have the rights to Spider-Man like indefinitely? Like, what was that deal?
There's probably a clause around as long as you make a Spider-Man movie every X number of years, you can hold on to the rights. That's as far as I know, the details of their contract, which probably aren't public.
You know, it would be funny is Marvel could keep making money by like licensing out Spider-Man, and they just license out the different universes of Spider-Man, right? Like,
Yeah, just chop it up.
Yeah.
Sony has the rights to something like 900 characters. Basically, Spider-Man and all Spider-Man related characters.
Oh, so they have all the Spider-Man characters across all universes.
Right.
Because I was going to say Marvel could there's an infinite number of
You can
potential
say, all right,
Spider-Man.
Sony, you have the rights to Earth
Yeah.
3 and 7 Spider-Man. Fox, you have the rights to Earth 12 Spider-Man.
Well, it's genius. It's like totally fungible. Like you could just make an infinite number of
Right,
Spider-Man.
because you could always add Earth 12.5.
Yeah. It's like those companies that sell you like I don't know, a star in the sky or something.
Right, or an acre on the moon.
Yeah. Well, okay, there's limited acreage on the moon though.
That's true, but does this company have the rights to them? Spider-Man. So, okay, we have all this confusion. Big question mark over what is next. So, we had the big premiere for Across the Spider-Verse the other day, and Variety was there. They spoke to Amy Pascal, the producer on all these movies, and got some little tidbits about potential upcoming movies.
And she's a Sony executive.
It's actually really confusing because she left Sony and created her own production company, but must still have some kind of a partnership with Sony.
Okay.
Because she's still producing all the Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
I had to stop myself. I went down a really deep rabbit hole trying to figure out, like, where does Amy fit into all this? I don't get it. She left Sony like 8 years ago. How does she still get to... Can I produce a Spider-Man movie? I don't work for Sony.
Well, you can produce Spider-Man Earth 12.312.
Yeah, the one that nobody likes.
Yeah.
The one that's got feet for hands and hands for feet. So she dropped a few tidbits. A lot of articles are circulating saying Amy Pascal confirms a live-action Miles Morales movie.
Oh, I saw those headlines.
Spider-Woman movie on the way. And Tom Holland Spider-Man 4 finally confirmed. These are some of the tidbits going around. But if you read the article, I'll just read you the article verbatim, at least a portion of it, and you'll see why I'm skeptical of all of this news.
All right.
Except for, obviously, Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland is on the way. That's basically...
That is definitely happening.
It's not officially confirmed, but it's, of course, happening. Why wouldn't it happen?
Out of curiosity, not because I have any personal motive here, when are they recasting Spider-Man? Like, when
I
are they
think you're
going to do
say,
auditions again?
I have no personal motive, but just asking, is Zendaya still with Tom Holland? There was a tweet going around that they broke up, set the internet ablaze, but it turns out it might have been like you who tweeted it. It was just nobody. Some guy just tweeted it. All right, here's the Variety article that supposedly confirms all these upcoming movies. Producer Amy Pascal says a Spider-Woman and live-action Miles Morales movie are in the works. Quote, "You'll see all of it," she told me Tuesday at the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse premiere in Los Angeles. "It's all happening." Here's my problem.
Wait, like, what was the context
What
of
was
that?
the context? What was the question she was asked? And what was the tone? Because it might have been, "You'll see all of it." Or it might have been, You'll see all of it. It's all happening."
I mean,
It's so vague. It's all happening. Because to me, that sounds like basically anything you can imagine in the spider world, it's being talked about. Everything's happening. I have to see the question to know if this is really, we're kind of taking it on faith. We're taking it on blind faith that she asked a question where an answer as vague as "you'll see all of it." It sounds to me like you could have asked anything. I could have said, "Are we going to get a Spider-Ham solo movie?" "You'll see all of it." So
it's like, hey, Dad, can we go to Disney World? Sure, whatever.
yeah, we're taking it on faith. This is written by Mark Malkin. We're taking it on faith that Mark asked the precise, like, correct questions.
Well, I'm sure the journalistic integrity of, okay, Variety. I mean, you know.
Yeah, so we don't know what question they asked. In what tone was this answer given? Did Amy even hear the question? It goes on. Producer Avi Arad teased that moviegoers will see a Spider-Man movie sooner, or Spider-Woman movie sooner than you expect. "I cannot tell you yet, but it's coming." So that sounds like a confirmation of Spider-Woman. We still don't have a quote where Avi Arad actually says the words Spider-Woman, but this one sounds a little more
Is
specific.
Spider-Woman Spider-Gwen, like in Into the Spider-Verse, or it's someone else?
She calls herself Spider-Woman, but a lot of people have called themselves Spider-Woman. And actually, we do have confirmation of a Spider-Woman appearing in live action in TV soon, but we'll get to that. Pascal also said a fourth Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland and Zendaya is still in the works, but the writer's strike has paused development. "Are we going to make another movie? Of course we are. We're in the process, but the writer's strike, nobody is working during the strike. We're all being supporters, and whenever they get themselves together, we'll get started." So her answer on Spider-Man 4 is essentially the same as my answer. Like, of course they're making it. Like, why wouldn't they make it?
How many do you think they'll make with Tom Holland?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, the record so far for solo movies in the MCU, I think, would be Thor, because he's had 4 solo movies, plus all of his Avengers appearances.
But it didn't go well, right? Like the fourth was a flop, or was it not?
I'd have to check that. I don't think any MCU movie can actually be called a flop.
Yeah.
I think by MCU standards, it might not have been the best performing, but at least critically, and at least to us, like, I didn't like Thor: Love and Thunder, and I enjoyed Ragnarok. Spider-Man, though, I mean, part of the reason they wanted to cast a young actor is so you can follow the Spider-Man career for a while. I would love to see 6 of them. Go to like actually give Peter Parker a chance to evolve and grow. That would be cool.
No, I want them to recast him because I want a shot at auditioning for.
You might be aged out of it now.
No. Once I shave.
Yeah,
I look very young.
Go back to your normal baby face. Here's the last quote I'll read you. Sony boss Tom Rothman was much more cagey about the future. He laughed. "If I told you, I'd have to kill you."
And then he killed the reporter.
That's right. So Mark Malkin will not be able to produce another fine article like this one with all the proper context. I'm sure Mark's a great guy.
Yeah. What the? Yeah. Why are we? Come on. Can't attack Mark. What was it again?
Malkin.
Yeah. It's nice of him to give us this scoop. I personally believe him.
We're just jealous. That's all it is.
I'm upset he didn't ask about Spider-Ham, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure if he did. Well, she said we're going to see all of it. So everything you can imagine, we're going to see.
It's like with the AI. You just tell the AI, "I want a Spider-Man movie directed by Quentin Tarantino." We're going to get that, too.
Yeah, that's on the way. Daniel, what would you want to see in a Tom Holland Spider-Man 4? Or if we handed the rights over to you, the entire Spider-Man universe, the SSU, the MCU, all of it, what would you be most excited to see?
There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I'll give you my answer.
Okay.
Tom Holland at the end of No Way Home, they took everything away from him. Nobody remembers who Peter Parker is. And he felt a lot more like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, where the world is against him and it's very much an underdog story. Because one complaint people have had about the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies is he has Iron Man as a mentor in the first one. And then in the second one, he essentially has a fishbowl head. Ends up, there's a twist, Mysterio, but he still has Happy Hogan, as a mentor. We haven't really seen a true solo Tom Holland Spider-Man movie where it's Peter Parker versus the world. So I would like them to not smooth over what happened at the end of No Way Home, stick with that for a little while, and get a more focused, personal, smaller Spider-Man movie.
I mean, that was exciting, right? At the end of No Way Home, he's in this like tiny apartment building, like in this tiny apartment alone. Nobody knows him. Like, yeah, it'd be really cool to follow him like that for a movie where he's a true underdog fighting to, save everybody.
Yeah,
and nobody cares about him.
That's what I would like to see. Cheeksters.
And that would be pretty like, it would have to lean a little dark and gritty too, just like a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah, I would like to see that. And now people are like, why did Gil interrupt Daniel to just go, Cheekster? Cheekster777 says, give us Sinister Six. So Drew Goddard, who worked on the Daredevil TV series, he worked on Cabin in the Woods. For years, he's been developing a Sinister Six movie. When Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, there was a bunch of setup in that movie for spin-offs. Sony wanted that to be the springboard into their whole Sony cinematic universe. And then, of course, none of that ended up happening. If you ask Goddard about this, he'll still say, like, I'm game to do a Sinister Six movie. Amy Pascal will mention, hey, maybe a Sinister Six movie could happen. What I would like to see is, following up from No Way Home, maybe do a Sinister Six where you team up these villains across the multiverse. Bring Doc Ock back, Green Goblin. Thanks for the coffee, Owen. Bring them back and do this multiversal Sinister Six.
So Sinister Six is like a Suicide Squad type thing where like the villains team up but to like do something good?
I think that would be the idea if they did a Sinister Six movie. In the comics, they're typically presented as villains. I'm sure they've done solo comics where it's exactly what you just described. And if they do the Sinister Six movie, yeah, you've got to assume it'll be in the vein of Venom or Morbius, where you take someone who's traditionally a villain and give them anti-hero antics.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Adam's message.
Yeah, Adam says, Cheekster, that's what they called me back in college.
Wait, so you said a Sinister Six movie is being made?
No, there is a long list of Sony Spider-Man related movies that have been talked about in public, have been announced at one point only to go into what we call development hell, where you don't hear news about it for a long time, and it's essentially assumed that it's dead. That's where Sinister Six currently stands. It's been announced, but it's not happening until some more news comes out. But I would like to see that, though.
I agree with you. Seeing the multiversal version of that would be cool.
Yeah. But Miles Morales, okay, so there's this vague notion that a live-action movie might be coming. Does that excite you?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I'm excited about any Spider-Man movie, especially. I'm more excited about a live-action Spider-Man than an animated one. Even though I loved Into the Spider-Verse, I'm really excited for it tonight. I'm still more excited about a live-action Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I have to respond to Guy Incognito here. No spoilers for Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, if anyone spoils anything in the chat, I don't even know why I'm saying it like it's a possibility.
Yeah, I might even hold my coffee here to cover the chat
because
in case anyone's seen
if somebody does spoil something, I'm gonna have to go to Doctor Strange to cast some type of spell that's gonna like make everybody forget about me.
And everybody who knows who Daniel is from across the multiverse will stream into our universe, and no one's gonna show up. If they did a live-action Miles Morales movie, what I would like to see is, I love the Miles Morales character. I love what they're doing with him in Spider-Verse, but we are stuck right now with a version of the character where he's dealing with a bunch of other spider people. It's kind of the Tom Holland problem again. We're not getting a true, focused, personal, solo Miles Morales movie. So if you do a live action version, that can be the more focused, just Miles version. And then the Spider-Verse movies can keep giving us the insanity of Spider-Ham and Spider, whatever.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. Though the last thing I'll say about Miles Morales, I do love the version of the character we get in animation. So if it were up to me, my preference would be just do a Miles focused animated movie in the same style, but not every Miles Morales movie has to be multiversal.
Well, so then how do you like if you have the animated Miles Morales and then a live action Miles Morales and then you got Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire, like are they all in the
I
same
know.
multiverse, or is like is there an animated multiverse and then there's a live action multiverse, and maybe one day there's going to be like a giant movie where those worlds collide?
So the way Star Wars is handling this, because they have animated shows,
Yeah.
and they've had characters who were introduced in animation have made the switch over to live action, and sometimes they'll get the person who voiced the character to also play the role in live action.
And their atoms start to destabilize and stuff.
Like, what? Why? I'm usually flat. What's going on? Depth? I don't understand. Adam says Space Jam style Spider-Man crossover. Yeah, I don't think they'll go that route. That'd be interesting. But do the animated movies take place in the same multiverse as the live action ones? If you take the movies as text, then the answer would be yes. Because in the trailer, we saw Spider-Man 2099 says something about, that wizard and that dork in Earth 19999. So he's, of course, talking about Doctor Strange and Tom Holland. But if you ask the creators of the movie in real life, they give the legalese answer of, it's just a fun reference. We're doing totally different things. So they're separate universes, until they're not.
Wait, okay, because I guess legally they sort of have to be separate universes.
We don't know.
Because Sony doesn't have control over those Spider-Man characters anymore, because they licensed it for Marvel and now they're licensing it back to Marvel. So they can't do whatever they want.
No. So we don't know the details.
Okay.
We know they are somehow sharing revenue, sharing profit, and sharing the characters. Is Sony allowed to just make their own solo Spider-Man movie? We have no reason to think they can't, other than the fact that they haven't. But we don't really know the details of that deal, what's allowed.
So that's okay. That's part of why it's so confusing, is we don't actually know the details here, and they give sort of ambiguous explanations of things because they're not sharing the details.
Yeah, we've seen interviews with Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal next to each other, and the interviewer will ask, are we going to see Spider-Man fight Venom? And Amy's like, yes. And Kevin's like, well, now, I don't know, maybe. So, yeah, we don't really know the details, is the long and short of it.
I think
it's a complicated web.
We need to start a campaign to free Spider-Man. It feels like he's trapped in all this legalese.
Well, there was a few years ago, they did almost split. Sony and Marvel, the deal was falling apart. And they were like, all right, next Spider-Man movie is going to have no ties to the MCU. And then supposedly Tom Holland made a big push to bring them back to the negotiating table. And they've recalibrated the deal. And now Daniel's trying to screw it up. Free Spider-Man. And Tom Holland's like, shut up. Hey, I'll give you a quick rundown of the Spider-Man stuff that is officially in development, because you're sick of all this vague stuff. It's all happening. What's really happening? Cut through the BS.
Yeah, what is happening?
Kraven the Hunter, R-rated, coming out this October.
By the way, so Kraven the Hunter used to be a poacher. Like in the comics, he kills animals.
He wanted to kill the most dangerous animals just to prove he's the #1 hunter.
And so in the live action movie, they're making him somebody who protects animals.
Yeah, and he kills poachers.
Well,
you got a problem with that, Daniel?
I don't know. It just feels silly.
I mean, this is the Sony strategy, is taking villains, because Spider-Man is busy over in the MCU. So all they're left with is 899 villains.
Who cares about Kraven the Hunter? Does anybody care about him?
Who cares
no offense to Kraven.
Who cares about Iron Man? And then in 2008, all of a sudden, everybody does. If Sony can make a great Kraven the Hunter movie...
But they can't.
If Sony can make a great Kraven the Hunter movie...
Wait, so why was
then
Sony...
you will care.
Sony was able to make Into the Spider-Verse. Great movie. Across the Spider-Verse, probably going to be a great movie. Why were they able to make those good movies, but they can't make other good movies?
I wanted to start doing monologues at the beginning of this, like a late-night talk show host.
Wait, yeah, you said you were going to do stand-up at the beginning of this.
No, I didn't say stand-up. It was just going to be one of those, like Jimmy Kimmel walks on stage and say, hey, we got a great show for you folks.
But you also said you wanted to do stand-up.
Stand-up-esque.
Okay.
So one of the things I was going to say is, so with the great response Sony's getting to Across the Spider-Verse, they reportedly, this is just rumor, they're considering making good movies from now on and retooling their strategy of making bad movies.
But seriously, why don't they make more good movies?
I don't know. I mean, it all comes down to who did they hire, right, to actually write the movie, who from the studio is overseeing it. Here's one theory. Maybe there's a lot of studio interference, and they're like, we need it to be wacky and funny, but with the animated movie, they're like, it's animated, who cares? We're going to go hands off. So the filmmakers get full creative control. But you can also just look at who they hired. It's Chris Miller and Phil Lord. I might be mixing up their last names. But those are the two guys who directed the Lego movie, and they were given control over Spider-Verse. They didn't direct it, but they produced it. They're talented people. They hired talented people. They made a great movie. You know, it feels like it shouldn't be that complicated.
So I just had $1 million idea.
All right.
All right, ready? Hear me out. Okay, let's say we cracked multiversal travel. You know, you can go to other universes. What could we do then? Let's say we're studio executives. Let's say we run Sony and we crack multiversal travel. Let's just go to another universe, figure out, hey, what blockbuster is Sony making here? Just steal that movie, bring it into our universe, and you just steal all the good movies from these different universes.
You're like the people who are afraid of AI because they're like, what if it writes all our movies for us? And if AI gets good enough to write great movies, that's the least of our worries. We invent multiversal travel, and your first idea is like, I can see more movies?
I'm not scared of it. I think that'd be awesome. But guess what? It would lead to the collapse of the multiverse, because what would happen? I'd start stealing all these movies from these other universes, and then everyone else is going to do the same thing, because I'll tell people, like the other Sony executives, that I'm doing this, and everyone starts stealing movies from each other, and you end up basically having the same movies in every universe, which causes the culture of every universe to collapse into the same thing. Every universe becomes the same as every other universe, leads to total collapse.
Multiversal gentrification.
Yes.
But I would be like Captain America, who brought the Infinity Stones back to their rightful place in each timeline. And then I'm going to come back, I'm an old man. You're like, did something go wrong or right? And I'm like, something went wrong. Kill me.
Gil comes back and he says, these good Sony movies don't belong in our universe. Sony doesn't make good movies.
Get Venom out of my universe. You ruined my universe. Let There Be Carnage was fun. It was a fun movie.
I still haven't seen it.
The other confirmed movies, El Muerto. He is a villain who appeared in 2 issues of Spider-Man in 2006. He's I wrote this wrong. Luchador? Is that what they call like the Mexican wrestlers?
Oh, that sounds familiar.
That's what he is.
El Muerto means the death.
That's cool. He has a magic mask that gives him powers. And a lot of people were scratching their heads when this one got announced, because it's like, no one's heard of this guy. He's literally been in 2 issues of Spider-Man ever. Here's the backstory. There's a rapper named Bad Bunny who performed in the movie Bullet Train. And Sony was so impressed with him, they're like, we want to give you a superhero movie. And they let him go through all the comics, and he found El Muerto. He's like, that's the guy I want to play. Last we heard, this movie is in development hell.
Which character did Bad Bunny play in
Bullet Train?
Bullet Train.
I didn't see Bullet Train. I have no idea.
I actually did see it. I watched it on the plane.
It's good?
It was okay.
It was okay?
Yeah.
This movie is supposed to come out January 2024. Hasn't started filming. So it's probably not going to happen at this point, would be my guess.
Maybe they're just going to like cram, they'll get it done really quickly.
Maybe. I'm sure that'll finally end Sony's trend of making mediocre SSU movies.
Yeah, maybe that's the issue. They've been putting too much effort into these movies.
Yeah. Madam Web. Filming is actually wrapped. So this one's definitely happening. Cassandra Webb is an elderly woman blinded by neurological deterioration from myasthenia gravis. But she also has...
disease?
That's a disease,
Okay.
yeah. She also has profound psychic abilities. She can see the future. She gets the name Madam Web because she's connected to life support systems that look like webs. Most people, I think, know her from the animated series, where she also had the ability to traverse the multiverse. So Madam Web, the movie, is going to be the first female character to be developed in the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. It's going to be an origin story of the clairvoyant whose psychic abilities allow her to see within the spider world. What does that mean, see within the spider world? I don't know. But another exciting thing about this movie is that Julia Carpenter is going to be in it. That is the second Spider-Woman. She's going to be part of this. So this will be the first SSU movie with an actual spider person in it. So that's cool.
That is interesting.
Venom 3 also on the way.
Really, Tom Hardy again.
Yeah.
Did those movies like make money?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I think audiences generally like those movies like as just fun movies. And then I'll just mention briefly, there are also a couple of Spider-Man TV shows in the works. They're going to air on MGM Plus, a channel I've never heard of. And that's just part of the deal. They're like, we have to put it on MGM Plus. But then they're going...
It's a streaming platform.
No, it's an actual TV station.
There's a TV station with the word plus in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it used to be called Epix, and then they changed the name to MGM Plus. But it's kind of like we have to put it on there first, because I think the contract says that... Okay, back up a second. So they made a deal with Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who made the Spider-Verse movie. And they were like, we want you to create us a suite of Spider-Man shows. For some reason, the contract requires that the shows air on a TV network first before they can go to streaming. So they're going to air them on MGM Plus, but then we can watch them on Amazon Prime. So they say a suite of Spider-Man related shows. The two that have been announced are Silk Spider Society. Silk is the superhero name for a character named Cindy Moon. Basically, in 2014, in a Spider-Man comic, they revealed that when that spider bit Peter Parker all those years ago, it then also bit Cindy Moon. So she has the same powers as Peter, basically. And so Silk is the name she takes. She's basically another spider person getting a TV show. I can't imagine it's going to use the same origin story where you're going to see like Tom Holland, from the movie, and the camera just pans over and it's like, by the way, she got bit too.
Did Tom Holland, did he get bit by a spider? What was his origin in the...
It's true, we never actually saw his origin.
Never saw his origin story.
But yeah, I think the assumption is he got bit by a spider. Cindy Moon, by the way, is a character who actually appears in the Tom Holland movies. She's a minor character kind of in the background, but this show will be a different Cindy Moon elsewhere in the multiverse. And they've announced the Spider-Man Noir live action series.
Oh yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, that one's interesting. I assume they're not getting Nicolas Cage back, but based on all the weird, crazy stuff he does these days, it feels like he'll do anything. Maybe they could get him.
I feel like it might be better without Nicolas Cage.
I don't really follow the logic. I mean, to me, Nicolas Cage fits this so well. It's such an absurd idea. He played the character so well in Spider-Verse. I guess, though, if they brought Nicolas Cage, that's them saying, we're not taking this seriously. This is a comedy.
That's... And I'm kind of... Like, I don't know. It's the same way, like, I wasn't excited to see the Venom movies because you said they're funny and jokey and, like, what... And it's like, I don't know. I just don't get as excited about that. Like, I want something that feels, intense. Like, especially a character like Venom. I think Venom is, like, is a villain and it's, like, really dark and stuff. And, like, I would like something relatively dark with Spider-Man Noir also.
Yeah, I think it's probably not going to happen.
Like, I hated that Nicolas Cage movie with Pedro Pascal.
Oh, the unbearable weight of massive talent.
Yeah, okay, some of it was, like, okay, but it's like, I just can't, I don't know. It's just some movies like that where it's like just no part of it feels serious.
I found the scenes with just the two of them hanging out and becoming friends. Those are my favorite scenes.
Those were fun.
They were pretty hilarious. But when it actually tried to become a kind of funny action movie, I sort of checked out mentally.
Yeah.
In that one joke they kept doing of like, I'm Nick, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not funny.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on Spider-Man, Daniel? We're going to see Across the Spider-Verse tonight, possibly live streaming right after, or if not, then sometime in the days that follow to talk about it.
Yeah, but I'm excited for more Spider-Man.
All right. Oh, I don't know if you could tell. I was getting pretty tired of talking about Spider-Man by the end.
It's just very confusing. Like, I still don't get it. I'm very confused. And I'm a fairly business savvy guy, And I still can't understand this stuff.
Guy Incognito, I'm going to hit you with this. Silk is a much better name than Simoon, which I guess would be combining Cindy and Moon.
Was she called Simoon?
I don't think so.
I agree.
That was just a Guy Incognito's fevered imagination, I think. All right, so I want to break this up a little bit. So, we're going to cut that out. That'll be our Spider-Man clip. And before we get to the next thing we clip out, I thought I could liven things up with a Sumo fact.
Oh, and then maybe I could do a Daniel bit.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right.
Sumo wrestlers, Daniel, used to be thin. They started off as kind of muscular and wiry, but over the years started to become very large.
Because they probably learned that was an advantage in the sport.
Yeah, because the bigger you are and the more you weigh, the harder it is to push you over.
Really?
Yeah.
Never would have guessed.
Ryan Tratner asked, did you watch Across the Spider-Verse yet? Sorry if you've answered this already, just came in. No worries, Ryan. We haven't seen it yet.
Not yet. We're seeing it tonight. We're going to stream tonight about it as well.
Yeah, 8:15 p.m. Eastern is when we're seeing it, and then we'll stream after.
But if you'd like to understand the nuances of the Sony Marvel deal and licensing agreements, and then still be confused after, you should rewind like 20 minutes.
Yeah. And watch as my eyes slowly droop around. Like, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
No, Gil, I need to understand it. Tell me.
I think for some of my notes, I need to start getting more focused. Because anytime we do one of these long deep dives into stuff where I'm like, I know Daniel doesn't care about this. Why am I? And I don't care about it. Why am I bringing it up? Daniel, what do you think of the El Muerto movie? Which, by the way, I don't think is actually happening. Like, what? Who wants to talk about that?
I thought you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, so that's what's coming for next week. A far more focused show, I think.
Anything else about that sumo fact?
I told you they used to be thin. I said that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what was the heaviest sumo wrestler of all time? How much do you think they weighed?
Oh God, 500 pounds.
Try 650 pounds.
Wow,
That's almost a ton. That's half a ton.
how does that person even move around?
I mean, they must.
Wow, that's wild. As somebody just messaged about Dr. Octopus, I was just thinking like the only way that guy could move around if he was like Doc Ock, he'd have to have these like arms sticking out.
Or like the bunny in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Like the what?
The bunny in Guardians of the What happened?
Which bunny? Oh, with those like metal yeah, the bunny had those metal robot
It's like
arms.
fried your brain. You're like,
No,
what?
I was looking at another message. I just got distracted.
We are not watching Across the Spider-Verse in IMAX because all we have near us is Limax, where I don't know. I guess the resolution's better, but it's like the screen is not noticeably larger, and then also the seats aren't as good as the seats in the non-IMAX theater. Like they don't recline and stuff. So near us, IMAX it's not a visible improvement. So I'm happy to just see it digital.
All right, you want some Daniel's bits?
Sure.
All right.
Hit me with it. Wait. All right, we got Daniel's bits.
Is the music playing?
I'm trying to get it. Here we go.
All right, so Daniel's bits are normally random historical facts that I don't explain well, but instead, this week I actually read some film news.
Oh, wow.
Because you asked me to, and
El
shocker,
Muerto.
Gil, who's your favorite actor?
I don't know.
Your favorite actor?
I talk about a favorite. Have I ever
your
pronounced
favorite
like,
actor?
This is my favorite actor?
Barry Keoghan.
Oh, the Joker from the Batman.
Oh yeah, he was the Joker in that. Anyway, I actually do really like
and
Barry
the guy
Keoghan.
from
He was in
Banshees of Inisherin.
Banshees of Inisherin. I actually really liked him in that. Anyway, he's great. Barry Keoghan is out. He's not going to be in Gladiator 2 anymore.
Let me turn off the music.
He's not going to be in Gladiator 2 anymore.
What happened?
He's replaced by the redhead kid from White Lotus season 2. Now, the reason you might be wondering, why is Barry Keoghan out?
Yeah.
And who is he going to play?
Who's he gonna play?
He was going to play the Emperor, actually, or like the Emperor's kid or something. I forget. He was going to be an important role, Cletus or something. Anyway, it was an important role. I'm botching Daniel's bits as usual.
Cletus Cassidy, not Carnage from Venom, which I know about.
Anyway, he's out because of a scheduling conflict, actually, with another movie he's making. But I was excited to see more Gladiator 2 news. And I'm a little disappointed, actually, that he's not going to be in it. I was excited about that.
Every time they say scheduling conflict, I just don't believe it. That's what they said about Patty. I forget her last name, but the director of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She was supposed to direct a Rogue Squadron, some Star Wars movie. And then they were like, wait a minute, I forgot. I'm making a different movie. I don't have time for that. Scheduling conflicts. Canceled.
I believe it because they probably sign on for these movies and they don't know the exact timeline of filming yet, right? Because things are solidifying. And then it solidifies and it turns out, yeah, there's like a conflict between the filming periods.
I guess specifically, I don't believe it in that Star Wars example.
I don't know. I guess I guess it would, if you wanted to just come up with an excuse where neither party wanted to say like, hey, we just don't want to do it together or whatever. I guess that's like a convenient way to
Usually
do it.
for that, they say creative differences.
And by convenient way, I mean just a nice way to lie to the public, pulling a rug over our eyes, lying to us. All right, I got another Daniel's Bits.
Okay.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Do you know what his last movie is going to be?
The Film Critic.
Yeah.
It's based on an actual film critic that was around in the 70s, I think.
Do you know what kind of publications he wrote for?
Porno mag.
Yeah.
Disgusting, dirty. I'm not going to see this movie. But Tarantino apparently has spoken to some filmmakers that actually made movies in the 70s, and he intends to recreate some of the scenes from their movies. Sounds pretty interesting. It sounds like he wants this to be his last movie, and he's chosen a subject that will allow him to reference all of the movies he was influenced by. So it really feels like the Quentin Tarantino series finale.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like I completely just stole
Yeah,
this
he did a better job with it than I
from you.
could.
Yeah, Barry Keoghan's going to be in this. Just kidding. Maybe I was going to talk about Terrifier 3, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, you have nothing to say about that. Should I go into it?
You want to do like a quick 2 minutes on Terrifier 3?
All right, let's do this.
I mean, here's my question. Do you care about Terrifier 3?
I care about Terrifier 3.
Okay, if you care about Terrifier 3, talk about it. I'll just stare into the distance, 1,000-yard stare.
Alon, have you seen Terrifier? Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it.
All right, get out of here. I was going to tag him in possibly. He's not camera ready. He's not camera ready.
Yeah, Alon, do you want to sub in for me for 2 minutes while he talks about Terrifier 3?
No.
Okay.
All right, let's do this.
Alon didn't do his hair.
Terrifier is a slasher based around the character of Art the Clown, who debuted in a horror anthology movie called All Hallows Eve. I know you're thinking, that's not true. He debuted in A Ninth Circle, a short film. Okay, a short film that was later featured in All Hallows Eve.
I was really going to get upset with you for that one.
That movie did well for what it was, which was a super low budget, straight to video movie. He followed that up, the filmmaker Damien Leone, or Leone, I'm not sure. But he followed that up with a movie called Terrifier, which was all about Art the Clown. And that movie was, again, well received for such a low budget film. And then he followed that up with Terrifier 2, which was epic for a slasher movie. It was a 2.5-hour movie. It did more kind of weird supernatural stuff with the character. But anyway, what are these Terrifier movies all about? Why do we care about them? Basically, the way I look at it is they take the slasher formula, which is not a complicated formula. Like step 1, establish a threat, some weird guy with a mask. Step 2, spend some time with characters so we connect with them while man in mask looms in the background. Step 3, the two forces meet. Because we care about the characters, we're now frightened for them. This movie basically takes that formula, perfects it, and then just turns it up to 11. Because it spends a lot of time with the characters, they make it feel pretty grounded. You would like that aspect of it. You would like nothing else about these movies. Daniel doesn't like horror.
I like Scream.
But this doesn't do what a lot of slasher movies do, which is get really silly and make it all just eye-rolly. You don't buy any of it. So it tries to make things feel pretty grounded. And then when the villain, Art the Clown, actually attacks, that's where they turn it up to 11. I have now seen things that I've never seen before, and I can't get them out of my brain. It's disgusting. It's gore beyond gore. I'll give you a small snippet. So mild spoilers for Terrifier 2. Unplug those ears. What a baby.
I don't want to hear something that I'm never going to be able to get out of my head.
I'll say it in a kind of vague way. Let's say that
I have a good imagination.
A certain wound, not a lethal one, shockingly not a lethal one. Certain wounds are inflicted on this poor woman. And then Art the Clown grabs some like bleach and just starts pouring it, like literally pouring salt on the wound in the middle of this like gruesome, yeah, exactly, guy incognito. Salt!
Wait, is it literally salt or it's bleach?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Because the salt, I guess, because it's like little mini pieces of rock, right? So that would really hurt.
I mean, it's a saying too, salt on the wound.
Yeah.
I heard someone talking about this movie earlier today, and they were saying how the movie never loses that spirit of fun. Like, it's not the kind of movie you watch and have to take a shower after. It's not mean-spirited.
Really?
And to be honest, that is not the vibe I got at all.
You did get mean-spirited.
Yeah. I mean, not in a bad way, I guess. Like, there's definitely some fun to be had in the movie. But one thing I think the movie does well is that it takes this insane concept of Art the Clown and kind of takes itself seriously, which I think is part of what makes it so effective. It also does some weird supernatural stuff, which I thought was fun. And Terrifier 2 improved on the first by doing an even better job of developing the characters. Like, you actually care about these characters, and you want to see them persevere in the end.
Isn't it crazy to think about, like, I don't know, when I hear stuff like that, it just makes me think, like, it is crazy the levels to pain that are possible. Like, that, it's just, like, messed up.
Yeah, I asked Adam, I was
Yeah.
like, is there a plateau where you just can't go above a certain level of pain? Like, it eventually maxes out. And he's like, I don't think so.
Yeah, because the other thing, too, is, I mean, there's the physical sensation of pain, and then there's, like, the experience of suffering, right? And the point is, those are different things, because sometimes, like, you know, for certain people, like, there different physical sensations can lead to suffering, right? Or different physical sensations can lead to happiness, right? Like, there is somewhat of a disconnect there, but you have to imagine that an extremely painful situation that is also, like, disfiguring you or something could lead to insane levels of suffering because you're thinking about what it's doing to you, right? Like, so I got to imagine, I don't know that there's a plateau to, like, suffering. Like, I think suffering has, like, no limits, and it's pretty messed up, these movies that kind of explore that, right? Like Saw and stuff. Like,
Daniel's
I don't know, like,
bits next week. I'm going to bring a bag of salt, and we're going to put these theories to the test.
like, I just have no interest. I have, like, intellectual interest, I think, in sort of understanding it. Like, I think it's important to explore the darkness sometimes, but I don't, for my entertainment, I don't want to go watch a movie about the limitless black hole of suffering.
When I was a kid, speaking of salt in the wound, and then I have something on that too. But speaking of salt in the wound, visited Israel when I was younger and swam in the Dead Sea. And what that sea is famous for is there's so much salt that you float. Like, you float right at the top of the water. But I was a larger child, and so,
So you didn't float?
No, I think the issue is that when I was walking, my thighs were chafing all the
Ew.
time. So when I got in the water, it just stung like hell because I
Yeah.
guess they were irritated, and I, like, ran out of the water screaming. But the way you look at me when I talk about horror, that's how I look at you when you talk about jumping out of an airplane. Like, to me, that is so unappealing. But I think what you enjoy about it is you are basically tricking your body into, I am dying. Like, I'm about to hit the ground and die. And that creates a big rush, and then you live, and it feels great. Horror movies, part of the fun is that they essentially do the same thing. They activate the fight or flight instincts. You get the endorphin rush. You feel afraid, but you have control over how afraid you feel because you can remind yourself, I'm watching a movie. You can pause, get some chips, and then the movie ends and you walk away and you're fine. Except for people, there have been stories of people that had heart attacks during, like, The Exorcist. They didn't walk away.
So that's right. Like, I do like thrill-seeking things, like jumping out of planes. But I guess I like those things when it's accompanied with, like, a physical experience, like where I'm actually doing something. For me, it's very unpleasant to, like, just sit down and experience it. I guess to me that feels more like anxiety than, like, the rush of doing something, like, exciting.
You bring yourself into an anxious state and then you walk away, thereby proving to your brain, I can handle the anxiety. You're working that anxiety muscle.
I don't want to work my anxiety muscle.
And I haven't even said it yet, but Terrifier 3 was announced. Writer-director Damien Leone and producer Phil Falcone will return to oversee the continuation of the franchise. That's how all the articles are reporting it. The one thing I don't love there is they say writer-director Damien will oversee the continuation. I wish they said he will be writing and directing, because that makes it sound like maybe he's going into an executive producer role. He's overseeing it. This is a movie that has a unique feel to it. And that unique feel comes from somebody with a vision. So I will be pretty disappointed if we find out he's not directing. They haven't said he's not, but just the phrasing makes me a little uncomfortable.
It's an AI they trained off of his movies.
David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown, and Lauren Lavera, who played Sienna in Thriller 2, are both expected to return. And the other exciting thing is that it's getting a much bigger budget. So Terrifier 2 had a $250,000 budget, and then it made $15 million. So that's fantastic. So what do I want to see in Terrifier 3? The first thing I'd say is that Terrifier 1 and 2 both were essentially the same formula. They're just doing the slasher thing. Terrifier 2 pushes the envelope a little bit, does some different things. I want to see more new things in Terrifier 3. Most slasher franchises, when they try to evolve the genre, they have a hard time doing it. Scream evolved the genre. It introduced the whole meta concept, brought some comedy in. Halloween tried to evolve the genre by doing very strange things. And Halloween 5 and 6 especially didn't work at all. But if anybody can pull it off, I think it's Damien.
So what I would like to see in Terrifier 3 is I would like it to a bit of a twist on the slasher genre. I'd love to see it actually set in ancient Rome. And instead of it being about like a slasher, it's about like a gladiator who's trying to fight for his freedom and like restore the Roman Republic.
All right, so you want to see Gladiator. Now, I was going to say you want to see Gladiator 2, but you're just describing Gladiator like 1.
Yeah, I just like to see Gladiator 1 again. To be honest, I wanted to describe Gladiator 2, but I couldn't remember the plot of Gladiator 2.
We don't know the plot of Gladiator 2.
Oh yeah, and now that Barry Kogan's not in it, I don't know what direction
you've
they're going
lost
to take.
all interest. Last thing I'll say about Terrifier 3 is I do think, in terms of evolving the genre and doing something different, I think it's a good sign that they're bringing Sienna back. She was the main character in Terrifier 2, because it's hard to imagine they would just put her into a new friend group and they're like, uh-oh, Art the Clown is back. Let's do the same story again. And also, without spoiling anything, if you see how things left off with her in Terrifier 2, it definitely seems like she's set up for more interesting things than just another face-off that would be just like the face-off she had in Terrifier 2. So I'm excited for Terrifier 3. I know you're not. I know some of you probably are, but let me know in the comments what you want to see in Terrifier 3.
Revenge of the Sith. Or
all right,
what was the third Star Wars?
Revenge of the Sith, Rise of the Apes.
Rise of the Empire of the Apes.
Rise of the Warrior Apes. That's what it was.
Chimp Empire. It was Chimp Empire.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's right. Okay, I think I was going to do some stuff about the MCU timeline. I don't want to talk about it. I'll be honest with you. Just after all that Spider-Man talk, I feel pretty burned out on it.
Yeah.
I have my game. We can go right into the game.
Let's do the game.
All right, why don't we do the game, and then if we can find the energy.
Well, no, how about this? Let's next week, I want to do a full deep dive on every Spider-Man related movie that's not getting made. I think that would be a lot of fun. I love that inside baseball of weird film studios.
We're gonna go back to the Sony hack from like 2016.
No, to be honest, I really liked our Succession live stream the other night. Can we just do another live stream about Succession?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say that you like just picking one show or one movie and just deep diving into that.
I do like that to some extent.
Right.
But let's do.
We had a debate over the format of these live streams. Like, should it be the way it's been, where it's like various topics? The fun of that is you get a lot of banter. People love the banter. As soon as we started talking about Chimp Empire, I saw our viewers cut by half. But I like to think of that as our viewership got more focused on the truly loyal listeners.
I think it's. I still like experimenting with the format.
Yeah, I agree. I think a little bit of both is good.
I think it's more just about when we find topics that we're actually really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to force it. Like, I thought I'd be excited about the Spider-Man stuff, but as we got into it, I'm like,
You're like,
I don't like,
enough already.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care about this random guy and Kraven the Hunter and whatever. Like,
Here's my new.
care. Sorry.
I think this is going to be my new approach going forward.
Yeah.
Usually by like the end of day Wednesday, I know if there's enough news I care about to sustain a live stream. So I say on Wednesday we make the call. Are we doing a talk about various news stories live stream? Are we going to do just talk about whatever we want? We could have just picked another topic. We could have said, let's talk about AI again. Or pick a movie.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because by Wednesday we could then just like pick a movie if we didn't have something. And I still love this idea of I want to go through all of like Quentin Tarantino's favorite movies. Yeah. Like, I think that would be so much fun. So if we decide Wednesday, we can like watch it Thursday, talk about it Friday. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I've been going down a Joe Pesci rabbit hole. I've become obsessed with Joe Pesci because my girlfriend, I have a girlfriend.
She goes to a different school.
She'd never seen My Cousin Vinny. And so I showed her that. She loved it.
I love that.
And then after
movie.
that, I was like, what's like there's a bunch of Joe Pesci movies I haven't seen. And some of them sound pretty cool. There's one, I forget what it's called, but remember that movie Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal?
I still haven't seen that.
That was a good movie. I kind of want to rewatch it. But basically that he plays a character who's kind of like a paparazzi or an ambulance chaser, right? He goes to gruesome crime scenes and tries to get photos. But then the lines start to get blurred where it's like now has incentive to allow those kinds of things to happen. So, start pulling some strings to make them happen. Or maybe you have the opportunity to stop a crime, but you're like, I'm not going to stop it. I'm going to snap a photo. So Joe Pesci was in a movie with a similar premise. Like, that sounds awesome. Cheekster says, MCU timeline, let's go.
He said update.
All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the update. Do you have time?
Yeah, let's do
Okay,
it. Let's do
all right.
the update. Let's do the update. But this isn't going to take like 5 hours, like your
No,
actual timeline. Okay.
It all starts with El Muerto and the Sinister Six. No, okay. The MCU timeline, Daniel. The day I released my big 5-hour MCU timeline video, where I retold the entire MCU in chronological order. The day I released that video, Marvel announced that they're releasing an official timeline book. They said it was coming this September. It looks like they've pushed that back to October now. The reason that's interesting news is because the timeline of the MCU is very convoluted and very complicated, and it moves around. If you watch Iron Man 1, every TV in the background says 2008 on it. By all accounts, that movie takes place in 2008. But then Iron Man 2 takes place 6 months later, but we know Iron Man 2 takes place in 2010. So retroactively, you have to say, okay, I guess Iron Man took place in 2009, right? So that's how it's gotten to be this complicated. You have nearly 30 movies. You have the Disney Plus shows. You have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daredevil, etc. Can you fit it all together into a timeline? If you go to the MCU fandom, it's kind of like a wiki for the MCU. There are people who get really into the details to try and create a timeline down to the day. They'll say, this scene takes place on March 12th, 2009, and here's my evidence to back that up. They'll do things like look at the phase of the moon in the background of a shot. And some people have asked me about that. They were like, well, why did you place Moon Knight at this point in the timeline? The phase of the moon clearly indicates it would be at this point. And you would say, well, like the creators of the show are not paying attention to that. But they are. For Moon Knight specifically, they were paying attention to the phase of the moon. But then the director of the show says, like, look, we were paying attention to it. We had a specific idea of where it falls in the timeline, but the producers don't necessarily agree, and it's kind of up to Marvel. So it's sort of like the details are there, but there's no guarantee that those details will stand the test of time according to Marvel.
Sorry, so they had to specifically film when the phase of the moon was in particular phase, or they would just like use CGI to like moon it up?
I don't know. My assumption is they'd probably use CGI. I imagine that's a pretty easy one to fake. You have the moon in the background, like I could do that, just eraser tool, you know?
That's pretty interesting. Can I ask the question that I'm sure everybody's wondering? Will they explain the Sony timeline? And where does Kraven the Hunter fit in?
I know, that's the question on everybody's minds. Well, I mean, probably not. I mean, I think if you have any questions about Sony, like which Spider-Man is in the Sony Spider-Man universe, I think the answer is they don't know. They're trying to figure out all that stuff out. So
I actually do know, but I'm not telling you.
Okay, that's great, Daniel. Get out of here. Remember that stuff about Salt and Terrifier 2? That's you, next week. So the book's coming out. Marvel's finally going to put a stake in the ground. The last time they did an official timeline was when the Avengers came out. But obviously there have been a lot of movies since then. So they're coming out with this book that's going to put all the movies and everything onto an official timeline. But what's exciting, Daniel, I see the glazed look in your eyes. Just the other day, they released some sample pages. So we can finally get a look at this book.
Yeah.
Here are the kinds of questions people like me have. How specific is it going to be? Are we going to have like particular dates when things happened? It looks like the answer is no. It says things like early 2008 or spring 2008. And it's a very graphic book. Like, you shouldn't let your kids read this. No, it'll be like a little snippet from Iron Man, a description of the events that transpired, and then a picture. Then like a big arrow that goes here, and then another picture. So it's like a very visual timeline of events. The other interesting thing is, in the like 8 or 9 sample pages released, the only things mentioned were movies or Disney Plus shows. There's a splash page where it's a kind of brief overview of the Hulk's timeline, and you can see it mentions She-Hulk. And that was actually one of the big things that came out of this book. Over what period of time does She-Hulk take place? My timeline places it all in 2025, but apparently it takes place over the course of 2024 through 2025.
Boy, do you have egg on your face.
Oh my God, I know. But no mention of Daredevil, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., etc. Now, it's possible those will be on the pages in between, right? These were only some sample pages. But my bet is that they're only going to have the MCU movies and the Disney Plus shows, which take that egg off my face, because that's what I did for the MCU timeline. And people were like, where's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? This is not the complete timeline. My response to that is always, if I did a complete timeline of world history, I would mention that the FBI exists. And I would mention big watershed cases, like the time they teamed up with the Avengers. But I wouldn't go through every single case the FBI took on. That's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mention S.H.I.E.L.D. when they team up with the Avengers, but I'm not going to go to their day-to-day. They stopped this criminal.
Yeah.
They stopped that criminal. A summary of world events has to go to the big events that push forward the history of the universe. In this case, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it seems like Marvel's agrees with me. That's the big takeaway. I actually asked, there's a Marvel leaker, this guy on Twitter, or gal, I don't know, My Time to Shine Hello. They leak a bunch of Marvel stuff, some of which has proven to be true. And they held a Q&A, and I asked, hey, this Marvel timeline book, is it going to include Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? And they responded, it's not going to be anything special. It's not really an answer to my question.
Kind of like how Amy Pascal...
It's all happening. So that's the update on the MCU timeline. I'm looking forward to that book. I will be updating the MCU timeline video based on that book. My goal is to do 2 updates a year. So one update will be coming June 20th, I think. Kick off the summer, right before Secret Invasion, if anybody needs a refresher on everything. And then I'll update again around Christmas. My Christmas present to everybody. And by that point, this book will be out. So I'll incorporate that, move things around in the timeline based on how this book corrects things.
And for anybody who likes and leaves a comment on the new timeline video, you'll be putting them in a raffle, right? For a signed copy of the timeline book.
Signed by Kevin Feige. Well,
No, signed by
I
you.
will sign Kevin Feige's name.
So how are they going to handle like time travel in the timeline?
I don't know. The way I handled
The
it.
Slinky theory.
That's right. The way I handled it is I changed the font throughout the entire video in the corner, it says what year it is. When it was time travel, the font would turn to italics. It would turn blue. And in parentheses, it would say time travel.
Wait, so when you covered like events in 2008, right? And then you go into the future.
Yeah.
But then in the future, somebody travels back to 2008. Did you jump back to 2008 later in the video, or you show both 2008 things at once?
So it depends. In the case of the Avengers, when they time traveled, it was to an alternate timeline. So in the timeline I'm covering, the primary Marvel universe, you
was
wouldn't
still continuing.
have, you wouldn't have
Yeah.
seen them come back in time. So for them, I just followed them to the
That
alternate
makes sense.
timeline. And I think I wrote in parentheses alternate timeline. But can I spoil Miss Marvel?
Go for it.
Spoilers for Miss Marvel. In that show, she went back in time in the actual timeline and affected her own history. So in that case, I mention her in the past, and then when I get to the future, I follow her back to the past and retell those events from her perspective.
That makes sense.
That was the fun of making that video.
Yeah.
I had thought about doing an MCU full recap, but I didn't get excited about it until I decided to do it in chronological order, because then it turned into this big puzzle to be solved, which was cool decisions to make, like that one. Do you cover when someone time travels? Do you talk about that point in time twice? It's fun. Cheekster says, "Thanks, Gil, for covering that, despite not wanting to." I think I did a pretty good job considering it was a begrudging conversation.
That was good. All right, can we play the game?
Yes. All right. Okay, clip over. Now we're back. All right, we're going to play an exciting game now. This game is called Gil's Digest. Disgusting, right? Because the word digest. But it's a reference.
Digest strategy.
It's a Oh, nice. Succession reference. Reader's Digest. I was reading last night the 100 greatest jokes of all time. And I was reading them and I was thinking, these aren't funny. None of these are funny. Anyone can write these jokes. I decided to put that to the test. So we're going to do 3 rounds. And each round, I will read you 4 jokes. 3 of them are from the list of the 100 greatest jokes of all time. One of them
AI written?
Was written by me.
Okay.
So I want to see if you can identify which jokes are Reader's Digest.
Okay.
And which jokes are Gil's Digest.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
How many rounds are there?
3 rounds.
Okay.
Everyone, make sure you're sitting down because you're going to laugh. There's going to be gut-busting laughter. Your digestive system will be affected.
Is it too late to leave?
All right, ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Round 1. Okay, first joke. Your mother has been with us for 20 years, said John. Isn't it time she got a place of her own? My mother, replied Helen. I thought she was your mother.
What?
Now, do you want to go one by one and say, was that Reader's Digest or Gil? Or no,
let me hear more.
Here's the second one. 2 eggs, a bagel, and a sausage walk into a bar. Bartender, my friends and I would like a cold one, says one of the eggs. Sorry, the barman replies. We don't serve breakfast. So that was either a joke that I wrote or it was in the top 100 jokes of all time as reported. I think it was actually only the top 100 jokes of the last 100 years, but according to Reader's Digest. All right, joke number 3. My mom told me never to take candy from a stranger, a boy says. Daniel's like, this is giving me flashbacks. I asked her, why is it okay to get candy at the store? Isn't the cashier a stranger? But she explained that it's okay if you're paying for the candy. The problem is when someone offers it for free. Why are you telling me all this? The man asks. The boy answers, I just wanted to make sure your ransom note asks for enough to cover the cost of the candy you gave me.
I didn't follow it.
So the kid was kidnapped.
Yeah.
But to make it okay, as long as his mom pays the ransom, they paid for the candy. So here's another one. 2 Hollywood stars ran into each other at the door of their psychiatrist's office. Hello there, said one. Are you coming or going? If I knew that, said the other, I wouldn't be here.
What? What? What's the joke?
Because like, I don't know if I'm coming or going. I'm crazy. If I knew that, I wouldn't be here.
Is that what crazy people do? They don't know if they're coming somewhere or
well,
going?
Not crazy. Mentally unhinged. All right, so which one of those 4 was mine?
I don't think you wrote the ransom one.
Okay.
Because it's just too confusing. I don't think you even understood it. What was the first one again?
I thought she was your mother.
Well, I guess it's possible you wrote that just because it's so stupid. What was the second?
The 2 eggs and a bagel.
I think the 2 eggs and a bagel one was actually the only funny one.
You got to pick. You got to pick one. Which one was Gil's Digest?
I think you wrote
which one came from the Reader's digestive system and which came from...
I think you wrote the stupid mom joke.
I wrote the ransom one.
Really?
Don't you get it? The kid's so stupid that he's like, well, if you pay for the candy, it's okay. So I've been kidnapped by a guy who offered me candy, but as long as they get the ransom, then effectively they've paid for the candy.
In retrospect, that was actually clearly a Gil joke.
Everyone in the chat knew it was mine, by the way. Guy Incognito, MJ, yeah, Gil equals ransom. Out of context, that doesn't sound good. Gil equals ransom. Ready for round 2?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay. First joke. Restaurant patron. Waiter, I'd like a bottle of wine. Waiter, what year, sir? Patron, well, I'd like it right now. Okay, joke number 2. Wife, honey, what time are you arriving for our daughter's recital? Husband, I'll be there at 6. Why do you always lie to me? How can you tell? I can hear it in your voice. Also, it's 6:30. All right, joke number 3. Now remember, anyone who just joined, these jokes came from the Reader's Digest top 100 jokes of all time. But one of them came from me. Daniel has to figure out which one. Okay, joke number 3. Rushing up to a large airline's ticket counter, a man gasped, Miss, please help me. I have to get to Chicago in the worst way. The clerk calmly pointed to her left and said, Sir, that would be the airline next to us. You get it?
Yep.
It's a double entendre.
I got it.
Joke number 4. A teenager brings her new boyfriend home to meet her parents. They're appalled by his haircut, his tattoos, his piercings. Later, the girl's mom says, Dear, this Daniel boy, he doesn't seem to be a very nice boy. I added the Daniel part. Oh, please, Mom, says the daughter. If he wasn't nice, would he be doing 500 hours of community service?
That actually got a laugh. I don't know if that was a real or a fake laugh, though. Have we heard 4 now?
That was 4, yeah.
Okay,
so one of those was mine.
There was the community service joke at the end.
Right. There was the Chicago worst way.
Worst way.
It's 6:30. Or a bottle of wine. I'd like it right now.
MJ, which do you think Gil came up with? Can I phone a friend?
Okay, Guy Incognito says I came up with number 4, the one that had you in the joke. But to be clear, I added that. That's not on the paper here.
Which then sounds like you're saying that.
Or it's a smoke screen. I'm trying to throw you off.
I don't know. They're all so bad. I liked the wine joke.
The wine joke?
I think maybe you came up with the wine joke because that one was actually kind of funny.
You're going to lock that in? Is that your final answer? Wait a minute. Did I keep the music playing? No. Okay, good.
I'm gonna say you came up with the wine joke. Damn it.
6:30. It's 6:30.
That was so bad.
Do you get that one though?
Yeah, I think I figured that one out.
He's like, I can tell you're lying. How can you tell? Because you said you'll be here at 6. 6:30 right now. I wasn't trying to be funny. I was trying to mimic the style of Reader's Digest.
Yeah.
So I think I've actually been doing a great job.
No, I can't figure it out. So, okay.
Round 3. One day, the telephone in the office of the rector of President Roosevelt's Washington church rang.
All right, obviously you didn't write that down.
And an eager voice said, Tell me, do you expect the president to be in church this Sunday? That I cannot promise, the rector explained patiently. But we expect God to be there, and we fancy that will be incentive enough for a reasonably large attendance. What the hell is a rector? In the context of talking about digest, it sounds...
So this could be a smoke
That's
screen.
actually probably very offensive, what I just said. I apologize.
This could be a smoke screen. Maybe you actually did write this one.
A rector is a member of the clergy. So I apologize for anyone I offended. I know Omar is probably unsubscribing as we speak. Okay, joke number 2. Did you hear they arrested the devil? Yeah, they got him on possession.
Oh, that's funny.
So MJ, by the way, he thought the community service one was my joke, but number 2 was the 6:30 one. C, joke number 3. How many telemarketers does it take to change a light bulb? Answer, only one, but he has to do it while you're eating dinner. Okay, this is joke number 4. A husband, a wife, and their 2 kids are packing for vacation. As always, the wife is packing way too much stuff. You'll never fit all this, the husband shouts. Are you trying to pack the whole house? The wife smiles and answers, well, I know you hate leaving the house. Do you get it? He hates leaving the house, as in like leaving the house. Not leaving it as in leaving it behind, like he wants to bring it where they go.
I kind of want to. So that one doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't make any sense, which makes me want to say you came up with it. But I don't know that all the Reader's Digest jokes make sense. I kind of want to say it's the devil one because I feel like a Reader's Digest joke isn't going to have a joke about the devil. But
they had a joke about a rector right before that.
It's different. I'm going to go with the devil one.
You got all 3 wrong.
God damn it!
I had the
leave the house one.
For this one, I decided I wanted to try and come up with something that doesn't make sense, but sounds like maybe it does.
I mean, it does make sense.
But even the explanation I gave you just now, I hadn't even thought of until just now. I was like, wait, it kind of does make sense. Yeah, Omar. Gil laughing at his own joke. I couldn't. That's how funny the joke was. I couldn't even get through it. Apparently, the chat is a lot smarter than you. They got all of these right. The only slip up was MJ choosing the community service one.
I didn't get a single one
actually,
right.
and Guy Incognito. I guess I stumped everyone with number 2.
That was brutal.
You want to try coming up with a couple of jokes?
All right. So 2 eggs, a bun,
Disgusting.
and turkey sausage walk into a bar. And they ask, I want a drink for me and my friends. And the bartender says, we don't serve fake sausage here.
Oh, I apologize to everybody in the chat here. I think.
Wait. I got another one.
Let's
2 eggs,
you know what?
a bun, and Canadian bacon walk into a bar.
Madam Web. Set to premiere February 2024. We're going back into the Spider-Man.
No,
Even
please.
that is better than this.
Okay, ready? Spider-Gwen, Tom Holland, and Miles Morales walk into a bar.
What is this, a crossover?
How did you guess the punchline?
Because I also saw BoJack Horseman.
And Tom Holland says, I'll have a monthly snack box delivery service, please. And BoJack says, what is this? An episode of BoJack?
Guy Incognito says, why did the waiter put rubber bands in the soup?
To make it to make it bouncier, to
cross out the letters because he wasn't a very good waiter.
Did you look at? Is that the answer?
Yeah, confirmed by Guy Incognito. All right, let's.
Why did the bartender serve?
Let's take this live stream out back.
So when Adam walks into a bar, and the Adam says to the bartender,
"Hey,
I think I lost an electron."
Okay,
I think I lost an electron. And the bartender says, "Are you sure?" And the Adam says, "I'm positive."
This is like worse than what happened to that girl in Terrifier 2. Let's wrap it up there. Let's take this live stream and put it away. The game was fun though, right?
I like the game.
Yeah, that game might make a return next week, or other games of that ilk. We'll see you tonight, perhaps after across the Spider-Verse. We'll give our thoughts on that movie. And thank you everyone for joining. Make sure to check out our live streams every Friday. We started at 10:15 a.m. today, so we are slowly getting closer and closer to achieving our dream of starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time every week. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, everybody.
And see you
on the next one take.
You always see it takes me a second because I got to get it pulled up here.
See you on the next. Thank you, Cheekster.
All right, take care, everyone. See you on the next one.
See you on the next one take.